the true difference between working to live and living to work.
Yes.
We're all raised in the US to be so ambitious because ambition is your basically one-way ticket to freedom. Versus here, your entire worth and value is not your job.
Totally. Freedom feels a little bit more inherent to your existence.
Yes. I feel like at home, people prioritize giving their time to something for a later return of investment. Mm-hmm. And here it feels very much like, no, the time is now.
Yeah, let's live in the present. Let's
to commune, to enjoy.
The concept of shifting the definition of what wealth really means. I mean, we've been funneled this concept that wealth is monetary in the US. And I think, to me, one of the biggest differences, which is just classic textbook, like goes to Europe once, goes abroad once. And it's like the people here are just truly, you can feel the energetics of them being happier and healthier and lively and colorful and bright. And I think that comes from the deprioritization of wealth and happiness being from, like you said, your ambition and your success. For those who are deep enough to get it,
but profound enough to not care,
you're listening to Consciously Unconscious.
Bonsoir, bon nuit, bon appetito. Bon nuit, buongiorno, buongiorni. Bon nuit.
Bon welcome.
Bon je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle Jessa.
Je m'appelle Amanda.
And nosotros estamos en France.
What was that? We are in France.
We are in France, but in Spanish.
You know, anyways, I know that with me is avec, right? Avec moi.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
We are. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? In a very straight way.
Yeah, I did discover this trip that I'm gay. Just kidding. Just kidding. Definitely an ally, but
definitely an ally.
But the women in Europe.
Can we just open with that?
Can we open with the amount of beautiful people that exist in this world?
Yeah,
that are highly concentrated into the EU.
You know, the last time you guys heard from us, the last time we were actually on a mic together was 3 weeks ago in Colorado. So lots has changed.
I don't know what to do with myself. This feels crazy to be speaking not only to Amanda, but on a microphone. Amanda got here yesterday. We are in the south of France.
I got here like 3 days ago. I got here on Wednesday, bro. It's Saturday.
I have no concept of time.
I've been here for 4 days.
I've been in Europe for a month now. And I don't know what day it is. I don't know what week it is. You know, time just flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
We missed each other so much, and now we get to share a bed again. Amanda is the best person in the world to share a bed with. She doesn't move. She doesn't breathe. She wears her eye mask. You did touch me with your knees this morning, but
I did.
It's fine. I'll get over it.
You know, I did. When I was trying to get cozy last night, I did realize that like my leg hit you, but I quickly moved that shit back.
You're a sleeper, though. You're a sleeper.
What do you mean by that?
Like, you're a sleeper.
Aren't we all sleepers?
I mean, yeah, some people are not, though.
What does that mean?
It just means that, like, the other day when I had my headphones on and I was, like, packing and, you know, rummaging about, you just honk-shooed. You just fell right asleep.
Let me tell you one thing. That was probably the first nap I've ever taken this year.
I don't even believe that.
What? We should call my husband. I'm telling you. And you know what? I was actually I'm glad you noticed that because I was really proud of myself. I was going to edit. And I was like, no, you know what?
Your body needed rest.
I'm here by myself. I don't have the children, even though children are following me everywhere. I don't have the children. I'm by myself. I'm only in the south of France once. And so I should take a nap.
You think you'll only be here once?
No, I lied. But this is my first time here.
But it is.
And Jessa recently asked me, like, do you feel calm? Like, do you feel like you can relax?
Yeah. How do you feel?
And I do in a certain sense of like bodily. Like I can feel like my body is like so carried by the ocean and it feels so nice to float and just lay down and not be demanded. But mentally, like that mom mode doesn't shut off. But yeah, I was like, you know what, Amanda, you're going to lay here and you're going to nap and you're going to like it.
And you will fall asleep now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm not a good napper because it takes me quite some time to fall asleep, especially if someone else is doing something in the room. I'm fucked.
But you were quiet. You're also quiet as a mouse.
Except my sniffles.
Jessa has been sniffling.
I do have the sniffles.
Because one thing about Europe, which you guys probably know, is they don't have AC. And so we had to sleep with the windows open and the fan directly pointed at us.
Yeah. It's the fan. It's a couple other things.
What else?
The nicotine.
Yeah, I've been in Europe for 4 days and I still have not smoked a cigarette.
Smoking. I still have not smoking a cigarette.
Smoking.
Was that how you say it?
Talking.
Smoking? Smoked. I still have not smoking.
Smarted.
Anyways, we do have something on the grocery list. Yeah, what a month it's been, and now we're back together. And I'm not sure, it's one of those things where if it feels like 6 years or if it feels like just a couple days. I genuinely feel like, obviously, this is I'm so grateful that I don't have anywhere to be and anything to do now. For a while before this, my first 3 weeks in Europe, I was leading a tour group through Europe, which demanded us to be in different cities like every couple of days. So it was just move, go, train, like check in, check out, lugging a backpack.
Bus, club, another bus, club,
bus,
plane.
club, another club. Lady Gaga, Roman Catholic knows. And I am now just really settling into like, wow, we get to do whatever we want. How are we going to spend our days?
In the water, by the beach.
Truly.
Honestly, I mean, Jess, you guys know how much Jess and I love the ocean, but I feel like there's something special about are we in the French Riviera?
The French Riviera, I'm pretty sure it's the Mediterranean.
It is so warm.
Oh my God. And still.
And clear.
Except for the sunscreen oil spills you see at the public beaches.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's got to be a big problem, is that people are making all this chemical sunscreen.
Yeah. I think you should
infiltrating the oceans.
Take notes from the woman who left from Brooklyn to, where'd she go?
Left from Brooklyn.
Yeah, to that country and pretended like she was now going to be in government.
Oh, like
you should
Dubai
petition
or
about
something.
it.
And she says, are you ready to go back home to your country? And she said,
Well,
that's private information, but no.
No, that's private.
Yeah. Yeah, she took the world by storm.
She did.
Yeah, I feel like I'm taking the world by storm here.
Yeah. Do you feel like her a little bit?
A little bit.
Inspired.
Yeah, it's interesting. That I will say this is the first time that I've ever been abroad where I have noticed a difference in the way that I've been treated as an American.
Whoa.
And I'm not sure if that's because of the state of the world or if that's because I'm a bit more aware in terms of my interactions with people, or if it's just kind of like because I was traveling around with 8 young 18-year-old American girls, like a little bit of everything. But I do feel like it's probably a combination of all of such things. And I've tried to be, I always try to be respectful, I think, and try to appreciate, not appropriate, and try to integrate and learn and like become part of the city that I'm staying at for even the smallest bit of time versus just like touristy things. There was one amazing interaction that changed everything for me.
When?
I'm just like on a monologue right now. Yeah. I don't even know where this is taking me.
Page.
Yeah. Sid and I went to...
Explain who Sid is for the listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry if you hear the Vespas in the back.
Yeah, we should rent one.
I don't know if I trust you on a Vespa.
What do you mean? I rode a Vespa around for 8 months in Europe.
Like me on the back of your Vespa.
You should trust me. Did I tell you about the time when I almost adopted a dog? Okay, forget it. Anyways, I, as previously mentioned, have been here for a month. My friend Sydney Swing and I... Should I drop her last name? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, she owns a fabulistic
vintage clothing company called Manic Pixie Thrift. She works out of Denver, Colorado. She does styling appointments and she does like really cool markets and pop-ups, and she's a stylist. I mean, she's an icon. She's my muse and my legend.
And to orient people, the reason I'm here is because you guys were out here for a while. So tell everyone why.
A couple of years back, I went on a sailing trip for 14 days where I was teaching yoga. And on said trip, which was magical and an experience in itself that deserves its own space, I met someone who was like, oh yeah, I lead tour groups around Europe. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? How do I do that? You get paid to go to Europe? You leave Europe not in a deficit? How? And he was like, oh, I'll get you a job. It's through this company based in Texas. Like, basically, It's a small privately owned travel company. And it's all about who you know, not what you know. And I got connected to this travel company and they asked me if I wanted to lead a group. I obviously have quite a bit of experience in terms of travel, but they really didn't require much else. They were just like, perfect. We'll give you a group of 10, 18-year-old girls. It's their high school graduation trip. They're very affluent, educated, private school girls, and this is their gift from their parents to go travel Europe for a couple weeks with 10 of their best friends with me as their guide.
And Sid, how did Sid get involved? Did they ask her if she had any experience or just kind of...
I was supposed to be the sole tour guide, and then the first group that I ever led had very, very specific parents who wanted more chaperoning. They were like, normally, you know, I know you do one chaperone at a time, but can we have another girl so we can have more eyes on our girls? They also hired private bodyguards to follow us around as well.
You did mention that.
The first year was insane in terms of just like the dynamic between chaperone to student. But the only reason that Sid came the first time was because they were like, do you like have a friend that you want to bring? Do you have anyone else? The parents are really insisting that we need multiple chaperones. And so I called up Sid and I was like, hey, want to go to Europe? And she was like, absolutely. And then they just asked us to come back this year. We couldn't last year because we were both in our own worlds. But yeah, this year they put us together as a package deal again. And we were like, hell yeah.
Could they have put her somewhere else with a different group?
They could have put us individually with our own groups. But they kind of asked if we wanted to stay together and we were like, yeah.
How nice is that? Because I feel like you've done a lot of solo traveling where you have to meet people along the way.
Yes.
And I'm sure both had their pros and cons, but this time around and the years prior, you like had a friend that you could go through everything with.
So fun. It was so fun. I felt like I was kind of back in college again with a roommate that you do everything with. And then at the end of the night, you like go back to the same hotel room and you sleep next to. But it was just so playful and so funny. And we gave our girls a lot more independence this year because I think we just got the swing of like how much we needed to be involved with them.
The Sid swing.
The Sid swing. Yes, the Sid swing. We hung out with other chaperones. Like, it was just a really, really fun vibe. Where was I going with all that?
Why you were here. That was beautiful synopsis. Beautiful monologue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not done.
Do you want to recite it again?
Softer, slower this time. But yeah, and then we decided that we would make it a little pod trip, a little business trip. So I begged Amanda to come to France, and
not much begging involved.
Not much begging
the
involved.
The second you said, I said yes. Yes. Yes.
And then Lucas got you a trip for your birthday.
Yeah, so back in January, were you guys texting? Maybe. I think he texted you.
Might have been.
Because he heard me be like, oh, Jessa's going to France, and she asked if me and another of our friends wanted to join, and you know, that'd be really, really cool. Like, I was like, that'd be really cool if I could go.
That would be amazing.
Like, if there's any way that could happen, like a miracle maybe, like. And he's so thoughtful and definitely listened. And so for my birthday, I woke up that morning and he wrote me a letter and was like, by the way, you're going to the south of France in June.
And here we are.
I feel like we've been talking about it for so long too on the pod, and we're finally here, and it's been so lovely. I think, you know, in this episode we want to really just kind of debrief you guys on Jessa's travels because she has been here for 3 weeks and we have so much to catch up on. There have also been things that I have been like avoiding asking for the sake of asking them here.
Okay.
I don't know them right now, but they'll come to me.
They'll come up.
But, well, what I was going to say is it actually just left me.
It's come and gone. Like the wind, like the breeze. Well, we are really full into like summer swing in Europe. So it was hot as fuck today. Yeah. And we're potting outside. If you're not watching on YouTube and the sun doesn't set until 9:30, like just the true summer vibe of rosé, charcuterie, being outside without a... Oh, go ahead.
No, continue.
No, you.
Please. S'il vous plaît.
Being outside just like after the beach, after your shower, you're in your little sundress. I mean, it really is the vibe.
So that's what I was going to say is Jessa had asked me the last time I like traveled by myself, but like with friends rather than my family or with Lucas, and the last time I traveled abroad with friends was literally when I was 18 years old.
Welcome back.
And the differences between what I want to do now versus what I wanted to do then is so wild.
It's so funny because we overlapped with Sid for a couple days, so it was the three of us, and we were having this like moment of just being like, yes, girls trips after 30.
Yes. Even though we're like not really 30 yet.
No,
We've still got a ways.
We still have some life left in us. We are going to be dancing. We are going to be drinking. But like, all we wanted to do was eat good food and then like get good sleep. Mm-hmm. And hang out and have good conversation. And at one point we were like sitting by the beach and we were just like, what now?
Jessa goes, should we play trivia?
Yeah, we did play trivia, bro.
That was fun though.
It was really fun. What was something that you learned from trivia? The longest river in the U.S.
Yeah, the longest river in the U.S.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, Missouri.
Nice.
Yeah, that was probably the only fact that I retained.
Okay, cool.
I was a little busy reading my Brittany book and looking over at the waiter to make sure he was coming.
Yeah, and he wasn't. That's one thing. What are some of the biggest differences that you've noticed thus far since being here in terms of culture, society, service, hospitality?
This thing on? I think that before I left, obviously it's a really interesting time in the US right now. There's a lot of cruelty going on, not only in the world but also in our country, deeply. And it's really hard to watch being in a state where it's not like happening. It is happening, but like you don't see it in front of you. And so I think I felt this weird feeling of like, oh God, the world is falling apart. The world is crumbling and people are in pain and people are really struggling. And I feel so fucking helpless. And then it almost made me like not want to come, to be honest. Because I felt really like, how the fuck can I go enjoy myself in the south of France right now?
Yeah.
You know? And then I got here and I realized that there was so much perspective here that I needed to have. And I think the biggest kind of awakening that I have been realizing, which we talked about, was the true difference between working to live and living to work.
Yes.
Because we talk about it all the time here, but I don't think it really hit me of what it actually means to work to live. Because I think that I was realizing I was raised to be so ambitious. We're all raised in the US to be so ambitious because ambition is your basically one-way ticket to freedom. Versus here, freedom is literally at your fingertips. In the sense of like, your entire worth and value is not your job.
Totally. Freedom feels a little bit more inherent to your existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels more like a necessity versus I feel like at home people prioritize their careers and prioritize giving their time to something for a later return of investment. And here it feels very much like, no, the time is now.
Yeah, let's live in the present. Let's
to
enjoy.
Commune, to enjoy, to just be outside. And yeah, I think that whenever I would hear like, oh, I would rather work to live than live to work, I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I love working and there's like so much passion involved, and like I want to live to work because I value my work. And I feel like I thought that the working to live was very ambitiousless in a non-productive, like lackadaisical way. And it's so not. It's just the priority shifts.
Sure. The concept of shifting the definition of what wealth really means. I mean, we've been funneled this concept that wealth is monetary in the US. And I think to me, one of the biggest differences, which is just classic textbook, like goes to Europe once, goes abroad once. And it's like the people here are just truly, you can feel the energetics of them being happier and healthier and lively and colorful and bright. And I think that comes from the deprioritization of wealth and happiness being from, like you said, your ambition and your success and your monetary,
Well, it's really interesting to also compare it to what's happening in culture right now too, with the divisiveness that we have been seeing for so long at this point. But I think that what I was talking to you guys on the beach about was that being so driven and being so ambitious creates competition rather than connection.
Yeah.
Rather than collective connection.
Yep.
And not only that, I mean, the amount of walking that I've done here, my feet are fucked. My back is sore. Like I feel like an 80-year-old woman. I'm like,
look at the shoes she's wearing. No wonder she's walking down cobblestone streets in these.
But
one of the most prominent things that I now remember was why I brought up the entire story of why I was here is Sid and I went to Lake Como for a few days. And when we got there, obviously there's the downtown square that's just piled with tourists, but also locals and restaurants and bars and like shops, and it's bustling. And then you cross the train tracks and you're kind of like over to this other side that's much more local neighborhood vibe. No one goes over there unless you're a local. And we were like, let's go over there. Let's see. Let's just walk around the streets. And there was this tiny little cafe called Cafe San Giovanni. If you're ever in Lake Como, you have to go. It's owned by two like 65-year-old just best friend men. And they are
Really?
the epitome of just like these old Italian men with like their tan, bald, leathery skin. And like we walk up and we just wanted to get a coffee quickly. And, you know, coming from the US, we're used to being like, hi, can I please have my oat milk latte with soy milk and oat milk and a little just like extra shot of espresso? No, you go in, you're like, I'll have one shot of espresso, and they serve it to you with tonic water. And we sat down outside at the one table out there, and we were just kind of witnessing and watching. And then they started chatting with us in broken English, just where are you from and blah, blah, blah. They started bringing us all these shaken Camparis, which is literally, I mean, it's 9 a.m. and they're bringing us martini glasses of shaken Campari over ice. They're bringing us meats and cheeses and, you know, all whilst every single person, that passed the coffee shop or went into the coffee shop was over the age of 50. Healthy, walking with their dogs, out and about, chit-chatting. Everyone knows everyone. People are passing on their Vespas. People are walking by. The kids are playing in the square across the street. I mean, you can just see like the town waking up. And it was this idea of everyone knows everyone in this community. Everyone supports everyone in this community. Everyone is just active and out of the home. And it just felt exactly that. It's not competition, it's collaboration, it's community. And we've talked a lot before about blue zones in the world and what creates health, sustainable long-term health.
Yep.
And a massive part of that is community. And we have lost so much of that in the United States. You don't talk to your neighbor.
No, and but I think the biggest awakening that I have had this trip in relation to that is how manufactured that is.
Friendship and community in the U.S.?
No, how manufactured it is to be in competition and to be individualized and to not be in community.
Sure.
How that is literally by design.
But it's also interesting because I thought when you said that, like, the manufacturing you meant was of community. Because I also think that community is so forced sometimes that it takes away from its inherent connectiveness.
But think about it, too. I don't understand how we are okay with, I mean, it's all we know, but how we're okay with having to get in the car every single day and drive to wherever we want to go.
Yeah.
Like the amount of friction that causes in being able to even make connections.
Yeah.
Because how many, I mean, times have we been walking down the street and like you see a girl's outfit that you love, or you see a girl backpacking and you have a conversation with them, or you go stop in for an espresso or stop in for a glass of wine and you talk to people. Like, it just cuts out so much of the
secularity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the oneness.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like I'm realizing some of the farces that we have been sold.
Oh, you were saying it cuts out the community, cuts out the oneness.
When you have to drive.
Yeah. It creates
everywhere.
secularity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is a huge part of being in Europe is the walking. And I think that people don't understand that if they haven't been to places in Europe, is that like everything is walkable. Public transportation is the move. There are people driving, yes, but like that's not what the cities are designed for. Every single building is connected and painted, and there's row houses, and there's still beautiful green space in between. And it's just like a really cohesive view. I think in the United States, maybe we built cities differently because we thought that we had more space. So there's a little bit more urban sprawl.
I think that was like intentional.
Isn't there? I mean, the whole creation of the Ford Model T and of like cars is that cities then became designed around highways and roads and cars.
Yeah.
Requiring everyone to have one to participate.
I just wonder if there was someone being like, well, what is this going to do to community? And what is this going to do to connection?
I think, again, going back to the idea that the things that we think of as progression or as advancement are not necessarily always manipulative. Like we probably did at one point think that that was going to solve our problems and help us and make it convenient for us. And ultimately, like Friedrich Nietzsche always talks about how the fact that progress is not always progress. It's not always advancement. Like there are consequences to the actions that we take that we believe are propelling us forward. And so
AI, who said that?
This microphone's faulty. Another thing that I love is that you just don't see people on their phones.
You don't.
There's this concept in Spain called sobremesa, but it's kind of applicable to like all of Europe, where after you pay your bill, after you eat your dinner, or not even after you pay your bill, sometimes you just wait hours for the fucking bill. You do not get the bill here unless you ask. Okay, let's just make that clear.
I saw someone today do go,
yeah.
have you seen that comedy sketch that's just like, just pick one.
Yes.
It's either or bill.
Yeah.
Don't go.
Yeah. Yep. That was the American next to us on her honeymoon.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I know exactly what it was. Yeah. Well, anyone else is sobremesing around the table post meal where they're just talking. There's no rush. There's nowhere to be. There's nothing to do. Around the table, about the table. And so basically it's just this concept of like, I'm getting bit by things. Mosquitoes.
Why don't you lean back in the pillow?
Okay. We're just like so quick to just close out the tab and flip the table and get new people in. And people who work in hospitality here live off a livable wage.
Yeah.
And so they're not trying to just like turn over the tables super quickly. So you chill, you talk, you hang. It's just so slow. And
they do want you to drink though.
They do want you, of course. Of course they want you to drink. Most restaurants don't profit unless you're drinking.
Facts.
Learned that from you.
Lucas?
Yeah. One of you.
Well, yeah.
Learned it from you, who probably learned it from Lucas.
Exactly.
Anyways, that's how information travels through the grapevine. One person to the next.
Yep.
But yeah, no one's on their phone when they're sobremesing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids out until like 1 a.m. You're walking around the plaza and kids are running around. Kids are pushing in their strollers. Like,
one thing I will say about becoming a mom is I really started to appreciate a park and how a park is designed and how much thought was put into it for also the parents. And is it a communal space or is there anywhere for the parents to sit?
Great parks here.
While also watching their kids. I mean, yeah, such great parks here.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to day one here for you. Walk people through every place that you stayed. Yeah. I want to know, like, where's the best food? Where's the best jewelry? Where's the best shopping? Because Jessa, if you don't know Jessa by now, she loves a shop. I
love a shop.
A vintage market.
How I integrate into
She
the
hates
community.
cilantro, by the way. And if you don't know that about her, she is going to shun you.
Thank you, because I feel like I've been very outward.
Our camera died because we're still low budget over here. Not for long, though.
Not for long, looking like this, 10 mummies.
But cilantro, tasting like soap.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been very outward about that expression of myself, and Amanda didn't know. We went to this insane 6-course tasting meal last night where they made you guess every plate that came, and I just thought that concept was exactly what we're talking about.
Until they didn't, though.
Yeah, until they didn't. But they advertised it as us guessing. In the first couple plates that came out, I had like written down every single ingredient on my note list. I was reading it. They were like, yeah, sure. Anyways, next course is coming. I was like, okay.
You know, one thing about Jessa is that I really appreciate, speaking of competition, is she is really competitive.
Highly.
And Again, you don't know this about me. And it was funny because she was writing everything down on her notes, but she's like, should we keep tally? Should we like count up points?
Should we like keep track of like who guesses right and who guesses wrong?
I'm like, I didn't even get to put my answer in.
Anyways, if you don't know, now you know. I'm competitive and I hate cilantro. And the first stop that I made in Europe was Budapest. And I've been to Budapest before, and Budapest is very interesting to me because it's bordering Eastern Europe. I mean, it's over there.
What is the country?
Hungary.
Hungary.
Mm-hmm. Very Soviet.
So what do they speak?
Hungarian.
What does it sound like?
It's got
Give me an example.
I'm not going to culturally appropriate. It has it's an interesting feel because it felt different than the first time I was there, but it's darker. It's darker, slower, harder energy to me.
What do you mean darker? Like the weather or just in energy wise?
Energetically, I mean, and physically, like the whole city is gray. Not really. Like, I don't want this to turn anyone off from going because I think it's actually a really beautiful place. And there's a big river that runs through and there's beautiful parliament buildings and beautiful Buddha castles. And like the ruin bars are really interesting. But
what's a Buddha castle?
The Buddha castle is just like a castle that you hike up to and you can see.
Oh.
But Budapest is split between Buda and Pest and the river runs through. So it's technically two cities. Yeah, which is really interesting.
So why is it called Budapest? Like, why do they just morph them together instead of keeping two separate cities? Oh, collectiveness, oneness, community connection.
Except why would they
European
do that?
way.
Because what a charming thing to have a river splitting your city in half and calling it two different things. I think that's just so cool. So fascinating. But we started there. Sid and I got there a day early before our girly pops arrived. And so we just did so much walking. The first day I showed up, I went to a pawn shop and almost made some big mistakes. And I'm so glad that I didn't because the rest of the trip brought me to some treasures. But lots of walking through the parks. There are some good greenery. Walk by the river. We met up with some other chaperones and like all of the groups want to hang out with each other. So the girls group is like, the boys group is going on like a champagne boat cruise tonight. Can we go? And we were like,
fun.
Honestly, hell fucking yeah. We can all go.
I would also like to come.
So we did, and we did unlimited champagne on this like river cruise.
Wow.
We mostly just let them do their thing during the day. So Sid and I had a lot of free time to explore. Surprisingly, the food in Budapest was great.
What's like a typical thing on the menu?
I mean, it's Hungarian food is heavier. It's like potatoes and meats and like gravies and sauces. Similar to, we went to Czech Republic. We went to Prague. Very similar in style. But the difference between Budapest and Prague, to me, which was our second stop, was the liveliness of the city. Like you just walk there, you get off the train. First of all, you're navigating a European train system, which is not as hard as you may think. And there's people everywhere. And while that's a little bit more overwhelming because you're like kind of like pushing your way through the streets and the center squares, I mean, the buildings were colored, the people were singing, there was music in the square. There was just like this air of people being a little bit more awake and alive. And we also just like kind of dropped in with the girls and we were starting to get the swing of things after 3 to 4 days. Like we work really well as a travel partner together, a travel pair.
Travel wife.
My travel wifey. Yeah, she is my wifey. My travel wifey. You're my other wifey.
You did say that you discovered you were gay on this trip.
Yeah. We recorded a different intro.
No, that was this intro.
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, so, oh my God, I just looked down on my stomach though really quick.
Yeah. Amanda is, I've never actually seen anyone this tan who's Caucasian. Are you Caucasian? Are you sure?
Caucasian is the funniest word. Yeah, I'm Italian. I'm Sicilian.
Yeah, I'm Italian.
I'm Sicilian and Finnish, but I am definitely white.
What do you think makes a good travel companion?
A person who picks up your slack. somebody who knows how to ebb and flow, how to be lackadaisical when you can clearly tell that the other person needs to be the planner.
Okay.
And then somebody who can also take the responsibility of being the planner when somebody clearly needs to like relax.
Read the fucking room.
Reading
really.
the fucking room is really what makes a good travel partner. And like being down. I think that being so just like
Yes, woman.
And like, you know, if you want to do that, go for it. I'm gonna do my own thing if I don't want to. Like the ability to not have to be so clingy and can be a little bit independent. I fucking hate anytime I'm on a trip with somebody and they have to be by my side 24/7.
You don't want to hang out with me 24/7?
No, I love hanging out with you. You're the exception.
I'm the exception to that rule. No, I completely agree. I think you're naming a lot of the things that I would as well. Someone who cares about...
If I actually could answer the question, I would have said the exact same thing.
Said exactly word for word, exactly what you said. Lucas. Dude, we had a waiter a couple nights ago, and he was just like some young ass... Like,
is that the appropriate term? Waiter? I feel like in the US it's very server.
Whatever, we had a hospitality agent. And he was serving our table of 12 girls, all the young girls, and they were just like obsessed with him.
Was he cute? I didn't look at him.
Like, yeah, I mean, sure, he was cute.
He was European.
We were walking down the street the other night, just me, Sid, and Amanda, and Sid goes, "Whoa, that's our waiter from the other night." And I don't know what possessed me. I don't know how I remembered his name. I don't know. I just turned around and I go, "Lucas, it's me." And he literally looks at me, does kind of like a double take as in like, should I know that girl? Because I definitely don't. And then we just kept going. So we've been making fun of this the whole time, but just being like, Lucas, it's me, Lucas.
The funniest thing is that her hand was like literally the highest
No.
I've ever seen it go.
I made a scene and I just didn't need to
Lucas.
do that. For what?
Hi, Lucas.
So that he could say hi back. But he didn't even.
No, he was just like, hi. Oh.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, Prague.
Good travel partner.
Yeah.
In Prague.
Yeah.
Oh, what I was going to say about a good travel partner is that something that's really important to me is that they appreciate good food.
Oh.
You have to want to eat and dine well, because that's one of the biggest things about being here. I was before this trip, I was so locked into my routine.
Yeah.
I loved my yoga studio. I loved my sauna and cold plunge studio. I loved our podcast recording schedule. I loved just like I was in my groove, the way that I would cook for myself. Like, you know, you get comfy in that. And while that can be a strength, it can also be a weakness. And this was the first time that I ever had anxiety before a trip about not being able to maintain my routine. And a big part of that for me was eating, because I was just kind of like going into it like, all right, I can't spend all my fucking money on food. And also like, I don't know, just that's a thing that we've talked about on this podcast before, is like, if you have ever struggled with disordered eating, like that's a theme that keeps coming up about just like, how will that integrate into my travels and into my trip? And I have just felt like so uninhibited here. So just like, this is food and saying yes and having experiences around drinking and eating and celebrating and socializing is truly what makes you feel alive. And so a huge part of this trip that has been so rewarding is that Sid is like so down to just like go eat good food and go to the grocery store and make a charcuterie board and go try. I mean, we tried South African food at this one place. We ate Thai food. We've eaten like it was actually it wasn't South Africa, it was in Asia. Georgian food. Georgia? You know it? Kind of tasted like African, like a tagine, like a Northern African, but I don't think it was. But anyways, the point being, we've gone across the map with all different types of food that we've eaten, whether that be native to the places that we've been in or just like really amazing spots.
Yeah.
And so that makes a good travel companion for me.
Yeah, that makes sense though, because I think you also love immersiveness, integration, and I think that food is a huge part of every single culture. And so I think if you're limiting yourself in any way from divulging in these foods, these local cuisines and meals and entrees. And I mean, the cool part about the place we went to last night too was that they change the menu every 2 weeks. And so they don't even give you a menu to choose from. It's very much tasting menu. So you're guessing, but you also like have zero clue when you get there. There's no menu, there's no nothing. And so I think that, I mean, you even asked me today, like, aren't you gluten and dairy free, like usually at home? And I don't eat.
Not here.
Not here. No, but I also think that there is this element of, it doesn't affect me like it would back home because, well, one, I'm walking more. And two, which just helps with digestion. But like, two, I'm not stressed.
Yeah.
Like I'm enjoying myself. And I do think that stress at the table is the number one indicator for any type of digestive issue.
Yeah.
And for feeling like crap after you eat.
Totally.
But I was going to ask you, when we were shopping in the store, I don't think that European people are more healthy because they eat better and the food is better. It is that, but they also have junk food. They also have sugar. They also have all these things.
Smoking a fuck ton of cigarettes and drinking wine.
Exactly. I think it's because they walk.
Yeah, they walk everywhere and
Like,
they're less stressed, straight up.
Yes, like I think it genuinely is the walking, the stress, and the community.
Yeah.
It's not about the food. And that was another thing I was thinking, like we make it so much about the food in the US, but we don't check like, okay, well, what's our work schedule? What's our stress levels?
It is a really big problem though, because even in the grocery stores here, like you want to go buy coconut, it's just 100% coconut. You want to go buy mango, it's just 100% mango. You want to go buy things like, there's no nasty ass additives and ketchups and mayonnaise and sauces. Like, it's truly, they have a scale on every single thing that you purchase at the grocery store that's A through E, and it will highlight where on the scale it falls in terms of like cleanness and healthiness. And they are legally required to put that on every product, and it's interesting. But yeah, good food, lots of walking. I mean, that is really what this trip has consisted of, is time outdoors. I mean, we basically spend zero time in the hotel room or the Airbnb or wherever you're staying. You wake up, you go outside, you go, I mean, so many coffees. It's not even funny. So many coffees. And it's funny to change your coffee order because, like I said, like you're not getting a latte here. You're getting an Americano or you're getting an espresso. And at this point, I need like 4 espresso shots.
Yeah.
To even get the crust out of my eyes. But we did Budapest. We moved on to Prague. I loved Prague. We did some dancing in Prague. We did some drinking in Prague. We did some partying in Prague.
Pausing here. Speaking of drinking, we have to mention our beverage of the week.
Go for it, young Padawan.
We stopped by the grocery store. We were going to do some Aperol Spritz just because obviously in Europe we drink a lot of Aperol Spritz. We have been drinking a lot of Aperol Spritz. I have, at least. You drink a lot of Aperol Spritz as a European, as a European visitor, as a traveler, as we have been. We have been drinking a lot of them. Actually, I have been. Actually, just me. Just one. I've had one. But I found this in the grocery store and it looked really, really good. Figuriera? No. Fighiere, something like that. But it's a rosé. It's from, how do you say that? Côtes de Provence? Côtes? Yeah. How do you say O with like a accent over it?
Côtes.
Côtes?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. But it's from France. And I figured that we would have a nice rosé because it's a very summer bev. And it's France.
And here we are, darling, in France.
And here we are.
My other discovery about Europe is that a dirty martini doesn't exist.
Did you try to order one?
Multiple times. Failed every single time. They just make a gin martini with lime. I'm like, I asked for an extra dirty martini with blue cheese, stuffed olives, and vodka, and I got a gimlet. So I don't know about that. So don't order a dirty martini.
Okay, so what were you ordering in Prague?
I don't even know. I really don't even know. A little bit of everything, a gin and tonic, a tequila soda. I mean, like, we weren't like at cocktail bars.
You guys were
at
drinking.
like clubs.
Yeah.
We clubbed.
Is that what Prague is about?
Prague is a big party city. Yeah. A lot of cool art galleries, a lot of cool museums. There's a lot of like glass work there. I don't know what the history of glass blowing is, but a ton of glass blowing. And the vintage shopping in Prague will haunt me for the rest of my life.
It was that good.
It was so good. It was so good.
Weird you didn't get me anything.
I've been looking for something for you. I'll pull something out of my suitcase that I need to get rid of.
You've already done that 5 times.
Yeah. And another thing that I've been doing and another thing is, I mean, like I packed some things that I knew that I was ready to get rid of. And so as I added some things to my closet, my travel closet, I would release something, add and release. So whoever was cleaning the hotel room, you're welcome for that beautiful rainbow slip dress. Okay, so Prague was fun. Prague was like high energy, a lot of partying and hangovers. And that was just the vibe.
Is that where you sent me that video of you listening to Prada in the club?
Yeah, in the VIP section where I was looking down at everyone and there was like fog and flames.
How did you guys get in the VIP section?
Answer that yourself. Look at us.
let me do some math.
Just kidding. But
yeah,
I'm eating this.
Oh, you're eating my chocolate croissant.
I'll eat half. I'll eat a nibble.
This is the thing about Jessa. She'll say, yeah, I'm going to get a quinoa bowl with a side of veggies. I get the pizza, the Parma pizza. And Jessa sits there, eats her entire meal, watches me take every single bite. And then when I'm done...
I just like to taste it.
You done with that?
Well, yeah, because what are you going to do? Throw it out? There's an entire piece of burrata prosciutto pizza sitting right in front of you. I'm going to try it.
Yeah. I do appreciate that about you.
I'm well
But I will be eating my chocolate croissant the last
That's
part.
why I left it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyways, after Prague, where did we go? Catch this in your mouth. Whoa, fuck.
I'm scared of joking.
Finish the croissant first, please.
I feel a little bit more like cushioned if I just have it.
Okay. Ready? All right. Forget it. Prague. Then we went to Innsbruck, Austria. Love Austria. I've been to Innsbruck before. It is like such a cool, outdoorsy, active, vibey city. Actually, I have a friend who I met in Thailand who lives there. So we met up, which was really lovely.
Who?
Her name's Lisa.
Oh, that's where Lisa lives.
That's where Lisa lives. But everyone's riding their bikes. Everyone's in their gorpcore. Everyone's hiking. Everyone's
What's
like...
What's gorpcore?
Gorpcore is like this concept of making hiking gear expensive and cute. Like
I'm going to need to see
Paris is very like gorpcore when she goes out.
Her girlfriend is also very gorp.
Yeah, like they're wearing like a $2,000 outfit that's like Arc'teryx and the goggles and the hat, and they look cool outdoors. It's not just like basic outdoor shit. Anyways,
but it's outdoors, indoors.
It's like the same idea of being like street style but outdoors.
Yeah.
And like also kind of in competition of my stuff is nicer than your stuff kind of vibe.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. Anyways, regardless of that, everyone looks cool as fuck doing their outdoor sports. We went on a crazy hike, which was 2 miles, 3,500 feet of elevation gain in 2 miles. It was insane. It was literally the Manitou incline for 2 miles.
Have you done that?
No.
I did.
Basically, I did in Austria.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I thought I was going to die in Colorado.
Yeah. I thought that was it for me.
Right there on the stairs.
Yeah. No, it was... I mean, I love shit like that.
3,500
feet of elevation gain in 2 miles.
In 2 miles.
Something that I've realized about myself in that moment in time is that I am obsessed with, and I have come to a new realization, is that I want to run a marathon. I'm obsessed with...
I'll do it with you.
The idea of physically pushing my body to the limits. Like, I just think that is the coolest thing ever, to be struggling with something that your body can complete.
Because what's the mindset effect after that happens?
You're on top of the world. You're on top of the world and also just so grateful about what your body can do. And mentally, I mean, it's cool in, I think it was Budapest or Prague or maybe both. I can't remember. We took some yoga classes. We took some Bikram, which is the 26 postures and 110 degrees. And I usually take a vinyasa. Shit is fucking hard. For 90 minutes, at minute 75, you're like, this is how I go out. This is how I die. And the rest of the practice is simply just get me the fuck out of here, get me the fuck out of here, get me the fuck out of here.
Is it also a little bit of like everybody else is holding these postures, so I can't be the only one that like...
Kind of that.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, you're on your mat. So it's not necessarily like super difficult postures. It's just the fact that at this point you are so hot, you're so dehydrated, you're so tired. You're just like, okay, we've been going at this for over an hour. Like, I'm good. I'm ready to continue my day. But it's all mental. And I've realized that in these instances like Bikram and like hiking, and we hiked in Switzerland as well, which was our next stop after Austria, like being physically challenged to me is such a rush. Such a rush. So big hike in in Innsbruck, and then we moved to Interlaken, Switzerland, which is one of my favorite places that I've been 3 times now. It's one of the adventure capitals of the world. People skydive, they whitewater raft, they hike, they bike, they paraglide. I mean, you look up into the sky and there's at any given moment 30 paragliders just up floating around. It's magical. It feels like a green screen.
Really?
Oh my God, it's insane. I mean, Switzerland in general is just... Have you been?
We trained through the Swiss Alps from Austria to Italy.
Where in Austria did you go? Vienna.
Was amazing.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite places I've ever been to. I liked it better than Venice.
What did you like about
I liked
Vienna?
it better than Portugal. The culture. I loved the people. I really liked the people, and I liked the city. It felt really clean, but we were talking about this with Nice as well, because right now we're in Antibes. Is it Antibes? Antibes.
Just like cans is can.
Antibes. So we were talking about this with Nice, like any city is really just like a city, you know? And I feel like we're not necessarily city people. With Vienna, it's a city, but it felt very like communal. It didn't feel like... It didn't feel rushed, busy, overwhelming. It was clean. It was very, architecturally intriguing. I just loved the people. Like, it was really, I'd go back anytime.
Let's go.
Down.
Let's take a train. Everything's accessible by a train here.
Yeah, how far would it be, you think?
Where are we? Nice to Austria. Oh, yeah, that's a dip.
Yeah.
12 hours on a train. Easily. I mean, some of our train days were pretty long.
Yeah?
7 hours. Lots of transfers in between. A train day is not a fun day.
What was the longest train from where?
One of the most complicated trains was getting from Switzerland to Como.
Oh.
Because you just had to transfer a couple different times. And
like get off
really short transfer times. We missed a couple of our trains because the previous train was delayed.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it. When you have the Eurail pass, it's really easy to just hop on the next train that doesn't require seat reservation. So like there's always trains coming. You're going to get to your destination, which just adds time to your itinerary. But
what are you doing on a train day? What are you doing on the train?
Reading, sleeping, listening to music, playing cards. We played a lot of cards this trip.
Yeah?
I brought them. So we can play.
Let's play.
Yeah. And just vibing, like looking out the windows. I mean, the scenery, it's a beautiful way to get around Europe, to be able to cover ground and see the countryside and the Alps and the lakes. I mean, training through Switzerland. When we left Interlaken,
Sound of Music type shit.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I just kept having this thought of like, people are just born here. People literally just are born here, and they wake up and they just like live here and grow up here, and they're born here. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it is this like grass is greener concept that we did a whole episode on. Because I think anywhere...
one of our best episodes on.
Go listen to it, actually, if you haven't. I I think anybody experiences that, like, oh, this is all I've known. I want to go see other things. But when we haven't experienced it, we're like, what do you mean you want to go see other things? You have the world at your fingertips. This is amazing.
Fascinating that dogs know different languages.
I'm sorry.
People are just like commanding their dog in a different language, and you're like, whoa, that dog knows Vietnamese. Holy shit. Like,
yeah. Okay. You know what's so interesting is I think that because I have kids, I don't think about like dog stuff like that.
You think about kids?
I think about like kid stuff. So seeing a 3-year-old speak fluent French with their beautiful accents.
Yeah, and then just switch back to English.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen bilingual children?
I feel like a peasant.
Yeah.
I feel like a peasant.
No, it's fascinating. It's amazing. Zeus and I have decided that we're raising our children obviously bilingual and
Have to.
in Europe and America. But anyways, to wrap up my trip, we did Interlaken, which is always a favorite place of mine. And then we did...
What was your favorite people?
Nice.
Like, which community culture do you think you liked best in terms of like what the way the people act or the people are?
Sorry, I'm like messing up my itinerary. I'm like, where did we go? People that I interacted well with. I mean, I just love Italians. I love Italians.
Why? What about them?
Because it's in my blood, baby. I just think that they are so real and raw and welcoming and very familial people and very
Passionate.
Yes, just animated.
Yes.
Animated people. A lot of like curiosity, a lot of I see just like a lot of brightness.
Theatrical.
Again, yes. I think it totally just depends on who you are and how you're interacting and where you're traveling, but definitely Italians. And where else? Czechoslovakian people were kind of cool.
Yeah?
I vibed.
Yeah?
Basically no interactions with anyone from Hungary. And if we did, it was very cold and very straightforward, transactional. Yeah, we did Hungary, we did Budapest, Prague, Innsbruck, Interlaken, Como, and then Nice.
Yeah.
And we finished here. I've been in Nice for a week. Gots to go.
And French people?
Yeah, French people have been tough, but like
French people are just... I think that like Italian people are, again, very animated, theatrical. Like you can kind of win them over with like the charisma.
they win you over immediately.
But like it goes both ways. But French people, I feel like even if you're like, they're like, what do you want?
Yeah. It's just maybe just a more blunt, direct, straightforward culture.
It is.
Yeah.
I think so.
It is fascinating to see the micro differences between, because Europe in itself, the EU has this collective energy and this collective air of what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode of just kind of like lower stress and softer and slower and gentler and like fun and playful. While there's also big cities that have heavier, stronger, faster paced energy, like I think collectively we see the EU as something that is less westernized than the US, even though it still is westernized, less commodified than the US, even though it still is capitalistic and commodified. I think individually, it's just fascinating the way that when you're driving through the US, you switch from state to state to state in the same amount of time that here you switch from country to country to country. And all of them are so independent and so like they just speak for themselves, really. But it's just, I mean, it's so healing to the soul to understand the way that other people live and understand other people's dreams and aspirations of coming to the US and of leaving Europe and of seeing other places in the world, even though you come to their place in the world and you're like, this is the best place in the world. How could you ever want to leave? I mean, it's all perspective, right? And it's all relative. But I think that, again, in my previous travel episode and any time that like we've talked about travel, I always like to remind people that it's a duty. It's a duty to go place yourself in other communities and cultures and languages and foods and different ways to understand how that makes you feel, understand how people's lives are just really reflected differently based on their geographic environments. And that's both a blessing and a curse. And yeah, I'm just so excited for us to spend. We've got another
4 days.
4 days?
Mm-hmm.
It's already that happening fast.
We have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh
4
my
days. Basically only 3 because I'm leaving on the 4th day.
And then I fly to Greece for 5 weeks.
You're going for 5 weeks?
Something like that.
Yeah, Jess is going to be with Zeus, meeting the parents, the family.
I think we're going to do a Zeus reveal. That's going to be my solo episode. Amanda did.
I know that, but I'm just building hype for.
Oh,
I'm reacting for the audience.
For the audience, Amanda did a solo episode on Mormon wives.
Yeah.
Solo lives of Mormon wives. What is it?
Well, it was all about and it's already out. It was all about.
It's out?
Well, when this goes out, yes, Jessa.
Oh, sorry.
It's all about the secret lives of Mormon wives, my kind of like psychological critique on it, but also in the lens of the art of seduction, because I compared the girls to the archetypes of the art of seduction.
I'm excited to read.
So it was fun.
Listen, whatever the fuck.
However I consume it. It was really fun. But yeah, Jess is going to do a Zeus reveal maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to make empty promises.
Yeah, but I think the perfect way to wrap this up is, again, I think for my experience being here, I think that I just realized how much of a necessity it is to gain perspective. Like you were saying, the duty of it all, whether that's going abroad or traveling, it's whatever is within your accessibility. But at the same time, if you have the chance to go abroad, like it is really eye-opening.
Sure.
To things that you believe that are no longer serving you.
Sure.
And so I think that was the most clear thing to me thus far. But for you, how does it shape your feeling of your dreams, your goals, and your anticipation going back to the U.S.?
I think there's always this dauntingness of going back to the U.S. because there is such a playfulness to knowing that you're only abroad for so long. And then it's like, oh, you go back to the U.S. and you kind of like lock back into your dreams and your goals. But I think that there's also this really cool way to look at gathering inspiration and gathering ideas of values and morals from around the world and bringing that back and influencing not only your own morals and perspectives and values, but like you inherently influence those around you when you behave in those ways. So I think a big conversation for me is always, what is wealth? What should I care about? How should I spend my time? Always taking back the perspective of spending more time outside of the home, outside, in community, by the water, in the trees, in the mountains, moving my body, eating healthy. I mean, a lot of things that I like already hold closely to my heart, but I think something about the lack of like rushing here. And
does it feel very input to output?
What do you mean?
I thought you might my telepathy get what I said. Like,
I didn't think you were going to make me explain.
I think the thing that I feel is this push and pull between posting and like sharing and creating in real time versus gathering intel, gathering input, like just soaking things up. I mean, it's like Eat, Pray, Love, how she literally went and experienced and was present and had so much sensory input so that then she could have an output. And I think that at least me, like, back in the US, there is such this pressure of productivity that I feel like taking this week is really nice to just like experience so that then I can go back and create.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
That was kind of what I was wondering. You feel?
Absolutely. I think it's also at this point in my life for me, like, I will always be a nomad. I'll always be a traveler. But unfortunately, I'm too washed up and old to be moving as quickly as I am in these trips. I loved this opportunity and I will continue to do it every summer. But like, if I'm going to travel from here on out in other ways by choice, it has to be slow travel. I think this trip made me realize more than I ever thought that I really do love my routine and I love nesting and I love my environment of like repetition, and I'm kind of ready to like put some roots down.
Yeah.
And I've never felt that way before. Like I have felt like every other time I've just been like, I could stay abroad forever.
Yeah.
I could be here, I could be there, I could be anywhere, and like my home is wherever I am, and I can make anywhere a home. But I think that this time, like, I actually feel less of that dauntingness to go home and more of that excitement of how am I going to curate and create a life that feels really good for me, especially since I'm not going back to Colorado. It's still going to be new, and it's still going to feel like I'm abroad in some way, shape, or form by the learning curve. But I just think that, yeah, you make a really good point about being so present and so aware while you're here, and then letting that express itself naturally when you go back.
Yes.
And really, really every single time I go abroad, knowing that like a part of my life must be tied to very closely spending an extended amount of time outside of the US every year.
Yeah. And it is such a privilege and it's such a luxury, but also there are so many ways to make it work for you in the way that feels good for you, even though it might feel overwhelming or challenging to plan that. But again, like, you'll never regret it.
And there's a difference between being a vacationer and being a traveler, which again, I think I've distinguished before with this idea that like you can travel in a very cost effective way. A vacation that comes with a little bit more like you said, luxury and spending and kind of living hierarchically in terms of where you're visiting. Like, you are above where you're visiting, and so therefore the integration is less important because you're taking a break from your normal life to go just like be waited on and be served and relax and enjoy. Like, I feel like a traveler is much more gritty. It's more cost effective because of where you stay, because of what you do, because of how you navigate. You know, like, you take the train system instead of Ubers. You stay at hostels instead of 5-star hotels. And you don't even need to like make everything like super crazy budget friendly. But I think just more to come on that in an episode that I'll do when I'm alone in Greece, in terms of the way that I have specifically traveled in both and all formats. It's so buggy out here. But I think that the approachability and the access to travel and seeing the world is much closer than you might think it is.
Yes. Agreed. We
got to go inside.
Okay, well.
Because now our house is being filled with bugs.
Au revoir. Enchanté.
Je m'appelle Jessa.
Bonne nuit.
Je m'appelle consciously unconscious.
Consciously unconscious. Consciously unconscious.
We love you. Maybe next time we're recording, it'll be in the daytime on a beach somewhere or something fun. But we are in the south of France.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
See you. I have no idea what we just talked about. Bye.